Greetings, family. Um, Today, I wanted to address a topic in a variety of ways so that it will be informative, um, educational, as well as eye opening. Okay? That topic is related to where you will be staying, who you will be staying with, and if you do have a home and you're thinking about starting a guest house or a repat house, what that should look like, right? Because I think, people are really confused about what that looks like. So let's start with you as an individual coming to Africa, coming to the Gambia, or any other location for that matter, and what the kind of expectations you will have coming to some place like that. Y'all see the birds on the window? They stay visiting me, y'all. I don't even know. Oh my God, this one is beautiful. It's like a hummingbird. It's like a bright black with blue and a yellow belly, but it has a really long, thin beak. Very pretty. The one I saw earlier was black with an orange belly and a red on it. So I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's like right here. See that? Yeah, I wish I could pull you guys closer to see it. Can you see that? From this angle, look at that, y'all. I have all kind of beautiful birds that come to my window. Oh, it's too cute. Do y'all see it flying? Beautiful, beautiful. All right, y'all. So y'all ended up with a treat today. That was so unplanned, but I wasn't going to say nothing, but birds come to my window every morning. There's this one bird that comes to my window and looks in. There's a pair of yellow birds that come to my window and they tap on the glass. I had a feeling maybe they were able to fly through the property before the glass was in. Maybe it was a safe space for them. But they know I'm here because I tap on the glass too, and they still come. So I think the ancestors are happy with me because now I'm in my own space. And when I tell you birds come to me, even when I'm walking in the community, but they literally come and hang out for a while. So I don't really know what to do. I just kind of leave them alone. But there's this one that comes, it's a little scary. It has red eyes and it just kind of stares in the window. And I'm always like giving a blessing because I don't know what's up with him. Nevertheless, I've gotten off topic, y'all, but we're going to get back. Um, like I said, uh, so for me, this video is about a guest house versus a repat house versus a low vibration dwelling. Yeah, I said it. Okay, so when you are deciding where you want to stay, think about the things that are important to you. For me, it was it wasn't a whole lot. I was like, okay, you got running water. Um, you're in a good location, so I'll be able to travel because obviously I don't have a vehicle here. And my things will be safe. I'll have privacy. Um, and food, I wasn't really worried about, or laundry. Like, I really didn't even think about that stuff because I was like, I can wash my own clothes. I can scrub something out in the sink. I can grab something to eat in the community. So I really wasn't worried about food and laundry. That wasn't like a requirement for me. But if it's a requirement for you, then you need to take note of that. Um, There's some other things you need to think about, though, that may not really occur to you at first, right? But there's nothing like living with people to know whether that's for you or not. And when I think back, I was never like the roommate type. I could deal with people like you coming to visit, we hanging out, but that whole living with people and them telling you your music too loud or they're too loud or, they spraying Jerry Curl juice all over the carpet and when you get up to step on the carpet, you step in the juice. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having a flashback to college. Yeah, y'all just lost me for a minute, so I'm gonna bring it back. Nevertheless, things that might be important to you. Whether a person smokes, and I'm talking smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, um, or whatever else they might smoke, right? I don't know what people's, habits are, but you just never know. And if they drink, like if you're not a drinker, you may not want to be around people that drink, or you may be okay with people that drink wine, but not people that drink other things. I don't know. Privacy. Like people will tell you, that you're not allowed guests, but then they have guests all the time. Or they may tell you you're not allowed male company, but they have male company. Is that going to be an issue for you as far as your privacy? Because I know when I'm walking around, another bird, y'all. When I'm walking around, I like to know that if I'm in a house with other women, then obviously I'm going to keep it appropriate, but it's other women, so I'm not so worried about if I come out with my nightgown on. But if I come out and your boyfriend's there and I didn't know he was there, then I have to kind of put a robe on. I have to cover up. What you might be comfortable doing in front of that individual, I'm not going to be comfortable doing, right? That's just out of respect for myself and other people. The other thing would be also just like, coming out your room and not really wanting to talk. Like I'm a person, like I like to move in silence. I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't do all of that. So when I get up in the morning, I like to wake up with the sun. If I have a view of the ocean, I like a beautiful view of the ocean. And I just move in silence and kind of take things in. My phone rings or something, then I'm always happy to hear from someone. But outside of that, I'm not like a whole lot of chatter in my ear. People want to talk, hold menial conversations. I don't really waste my time doing things like that. I just like to move in silence. Um, so that's another thing for me. Like I said, location, transportation, you might want to consider those things. Do you want to be in a busy city? Do you want to be someplace where roosters might wake you up in the morning or you might hear a Muslim prayer? Do you want to be in a country where you may not hear any sounds at all? Do you want to be by the ocean? Like, really think about your location and how you will be able to get around. Are you going to depend on your host to provide transportation for you? Are you going to be comfortable taking public transportation? Do you need a private driver? Like, all of that is going to matter. And roommates, like I was talking about the roommate thing. For me, obviously when I traveled, I had my son with me initially, so he was my roommate. But I'm not really with houses that have a whole lot of other people in them because then you're dealing with other people's attitudes. Now I know when I was at the Repat House, it wasn't a big deal because people was coming and going. Like when I was leaving, people were coming. When I was coming, people were going. So it was a joy to meet people on the same journey. That was a blessing. But I didn't really have to deal with them. They didn't really have to deal with me, except to get information and exchange ideas. Like we weren't in each other's space to the point where it was invasive. Um, and just, also you may have roommates that are not friendly, right? Some people swear they so friendly, but they say little sarcastic things. Anything you say you're experiencing, they feel they have to one up you or minimize your experience. Some people have been on the continent so long that it's like they've lost their joy almost. Like it's like, oh, I did that, or that's not such a big deal. Or, like you don't do that when you're hosting people. You just don't. If you're bitter and miserable, or your life is not going the way you want it to, you don't impose that on other people. Like let people have their experience. It's just like an elder with a young person. That young person telling you everything they excited about and things that they like, and all you could do is criticize and find something wrong with it. That's why young people sometimes don't like talking to elders. And that's why sometimes young people do like talking to elders because elders know how to listen and appreciate that young person experiencing that and remember what it was like when they experienced it and the joy of it. not to tell them the outcome, because that takes away from someone else's experience. It's like, I think people have really forgotten how to use emotional intelligence, right? And I'm going to do a video on that as well. We're going to talk about emotional intelligence because, people could be book smart. Some people could even have a little bit of common sense. But emotional intelligence, that's a whole nother thing. And that's where I believe we are lacking, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And that's a whole nother topic, but I'm just going to move through this. I made a list because I wanted to make sure that I share some of the experiences that I had with people, because I really think that people are just clueless about, I don't even want to say how fucked up they are, but I want to say that clueless about their lack of empathy, clueless about how their behaviors ripple and affect other people, clueless about how petty they are, um, clueless about how insecure they are. Like, if you're not self-aware, that's a whole nother thing. And that comes into that emotional intelligence. And we're going to talk about that, what that means for our community. Okay? Okay, so I talked to you about things that might be important to you. Vaccinations. Are you vaccinated? And if you're not vaccinated, do you want to be around people that are vaccinated, right? Because that's a whole nother thing. How do you feel about vaccinations? If you have a very strong opinion about it either way, are you going to be able to live with people who also have a strong opinion about it either way? Something to think about. Religious preferences, right? Some of us have varying religious preferences. Some folks are atheists, some people are Christian, some people are Muslim, some people are, alternative religions, some people into like, African spirituality. And some people are just kind of neutral, like they just kind of go with the flow. But I'm gonna tell you what I don't do. I have no interest in sharing energy with people who claim to be one thing, but their behavior exhibits that they're another. Yeah. I don't want to meditate with you. I don't want to pray with you. I don't want to chant with you. I don't want to do nothing with you because your behavior tells me something different. And I don't think that's I know that's not a good exchange for me. So that's something to think about. Um, the other thing would be house rules and lack thereof. Like I mentioned about having guests. People come in to the home looking for you. I know where I stayed, I didn't tell anyone where I lived at because I felt like it wasn't my house, first of all. I didn't feel like it was a home, not for me. And I did not want to invite anyone to my home. Y'all, there are 4 birds from my window. Do y'all see this? Do y'all see this? 2 of them just flew away. You see the two yellow lovebirds? Now these are 2 different birds than the ones I showed y'all. These are the pair that come all the time to that same peak. There was 2 others up there that flew away just before I lifted the laptop. When I tell y'all this is the bird house here, I'm telling you like it's serious. They just be rolling up on me. All right, so house rules or lack thereof. Do you want house rules? Like when you're a grown, adult, mature woman, man, couple, do you want to be in a house that has rules? I know every house has rules, but are they rules that you feel you can live with? No smoking, no cooking after a certain time, no visitors, no televisions, no radios. Like, are those things you want to be privy to? You have to really take that into consideration. So now I'm going to move into people who open up their homes as a guest house or a lodge and what that should look like. Like, we know that there are repat groups on a continent in Ghana. We have Sister Yah. We have, the brother in Senegal. We have uh, oh my goodness, why is his name slipping my Chief Monterey? Chief Fode, right, and his wife Kenya in Sierra Leone that have a repat organization. And we had a sister in the Gambia. I think she might be on leave right now for the Repat House, but we know there's people in Rwanda, right? The sister Jade and some people in her network that are having these repat organizations to welcome the diaspora to the continent. Um, and also some YouTubers, right? We know that some YouTubers have been very instrumental in helping people get to the continent, whether it was sharing their contacts, like I do, making sure people arrive safely, and just letting them know if anything happens, I'm here. Like that could be considered a reprieve as well. So I think what's important about opening up your home is realizing what that entails when you say you're going to open up your home as a guest house or a repat house or a lodge, right? Um, you have to be open to allow people to have their experiences. You may be on location to provide guidance or support, but you should not be there to tell people what to do, to criticize them, or minimize their experiences. And some people will tell you, oh, yeah, this is your home, do what you like. But then when you move to do something, they're being territorial or dictatorial, like it's a dictatorship and what should be done and how it should be done, all this kind of crazy stuff. And nobody wants to deal with that when they're coming to a new place, having a new experience. So really think about when you say you're opening your home, are you truly opening your home or do you feel like you need to still maintain control, like control the reins type thing? Because that's not opening up your home. It isn't. And if that's how you feel, that's cool, but maybe you shouldn't be calling it a guest house. It's just your house. Okay? The other piece is if you're not open to improving or expanding your network, stop acting like you are. Like there are so many people who say they want to meet new people, they want to take their businesses to the next level. They're open-minded, but they're not. You present ideas to them, you give them options, and right away they want to knock them down. This is what people are doing that expand their businesses. This is what people are doing that build their brands. If you're not open to that, then don't act like you are. Don't waste other people's time talking about what you're open to only to be pessimistic. Like nobody has time for that. I know I don't. People talk about wanting to have more of a presence on social media, but when you tell them what's required to do that, they're not willing to do it. And also understand that when you're getting information from people, it's not free. So when someone's giving you free information, receive it and do what you want to do with it. But don't be negative and pessimistic because then you've only wasted that individual's time. If you want to waste your time, that's your business. But don't waste other people's time with your negativity and your low vibrations. Um, the other piece is, like people feeling like they need to compete with folks. If people come to your home, they share ideas with you, and then, you act like, oh, that's amazing, that's wonderful. Or you act like you're really not listening, but the next thing you know, a week or two later, you presenting the idea like it's yours. I'm laughing, y'all, because it's hysterical to me. People will ask you, like, oh, well, what is it you came here to do? And then you'll tell them, and you'll have a conversation with them a week or two later, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm about to fix my space so I could do A, B, and C. And you're looking at them like, really? That's interesting. You're doing A, B, and C, but you do realize A, B, and C started with me. Yeah. So you wanted to copy the idea, mention that you would like to do something like that, but don't come off like what you're doing is original. It just blows my mind. And the deep part is, it's not coming from little kids. It's not coming from the youngins. It's coming from elders. It's coming from mature adults that are behaving like this. it's just amazing to see. It's amazing to witness because you're like, you're almost worse than the colonizer when you come from the West or you come from the diaspora with these type of behaviors towards your own people, towards the native people. Like you really gotta check yourself. And that takes you back to that emotional intelligence thing we're gonna be talking about, y'all. So I'm gonna move on. Don't pretend to be something you're not. You know, if you know you're a person that's not patient, you're not respectful, you're not kind, don't pretend to be those things. Because guess what? The lie can only go for so long. It's going to come out. Excuse me. It's going to come out that you're not that person. You know, and if you're talking about entertaining guests or hosting people, having them in your home, you at least want to be consistent. You want to figure out the things that may not work for you and address those things up front. You know, don't say you can do things that you're not capable of doing. Don't make promises that you don't want to keep. And just don't be inconsistent because you can't do that when you're hosting people. You're going to have different people coming into your home with different personalities. If you're not consistent, that's going to be a mess. It's going to be messy. It is. Um, don't assume that others are in, let's see, how do I say this? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase. There may be things that you are comfortable with or that you have permitted to happen in your life that other people may not be comfortable with. And you need to think about that as someone opening up your home or your space to other people. You know, you might be on some, but you know, we grown up in here, this is what we do. But what you do may not be something that your guests will be comfortable with, right? And it could be whatever, like, you know, your social life, people you interact with, how you interact with, all of that. It is like a really fine line, you know, about like how you want to deal with that. Um, you could put it all on the table and let the dice roll as they may, or you could, you know, kind of feel people out and let them tell you what the kind of things they may be comfortable with. You know, I'm a pretty open-minded person. There's just certain things I don't choose to be privy to. And y'all have heard me talk about those things before. So when people are doing things that I don't want to be privy to, I don't want to be around them. It's not personal. You do you, but don't expect me to be a part of it. You know? And see what else I got for y'all. I think that may be it as far as, you know, just kind of really knowing, like, if you're going to open your home, what that should look like. If you're going to stay with someone, what that should look like. And also just kind of how you prepare your home to receive people. You may want to consider, like, really be honest with yourself. Do you have a mansion? Do you do you have a home, or do you have an apartment? Like, there's a difference, okay? You may even have a villa, right? But know what you have. Like, don't present like you have something that you don't have. How's your water pressure? Some people have real issues with water pressure. I remember staying in a hotel in Sierra Leone and they had great water pressure. It wasn't the best hotel I stayed in, but they had really nice water pressure. That's a big deal to some people. Is your food up to par, right? Are you ready to cook for your guests? And if you're not, are you able to refer your guests to people where they can get decent cooking or food that might be for their palate, right? If you having a guest house and you have people paying for meals and you know they're coming from the diaspora, then you're either talking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or breakfast and dinner because you figure people will be out. Or you may want people to pay for their meals at your space and be able to have meals whenever they want. Like, that's something to think about. You can't say you are providing meals for people and having them pay for 3 meals a day when you're not providing 3 meals a day. Or you may not be providing food that is up to par 3 meals, 3 times a day. The other piece is your staff trained to accommodate guests? You can't take staff from, I don't know, your restaurant, your house, and act like they are hotel trained staff or guest house trained staff. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing because the way you interact with people will be different, right? Are they there to clean rooms on a daily basis? Are they there to do laundry? Do you want your guests to be associating with your staff? Like, all of that has to be taken into consideration. Is your home truly adequate to be called a guest house, a villa, a repat house? For example, do you have a generator? You don't have a generator, okay, then prepare your folks that power may be an issue. There will be outages. I can tell you that when I first came to the Gambia, those first 2 to 3 weeks, I experienced more power outages in Gambia than I did in 40 days traveling 3 different countries. And Gambia was one of those countries. So I don't know what that was about. I don't know if that's the government. I don't know if that's seasonal. It is rainy season, so that can affect power as well. But it's just something to think about. I went to visit some places when I was looking for houses, and some of those owners of, the builders of those homes actually had generators. They had backup generators on the premises. But I live in a building now that is very modern, and guess what? There's no generator. So you got to be prepared for that stuff. Do you have a solar panel that you're traveling with? Do you have a solar briefcase? Do you have solar powered charging equipment? Like, all of that makes a difference. Having keys, right? If you're in a guest house, are you a guest house, a repat house? Do you have access to keys? I stayed in a repat house where I did not have a key. Right? We just kind of communicated when we be coming back and forth, or a key was left in a certain location so that you would be able to have access to the home. And I stayed someplace else where keys were given to certain doors and not given to others. Also, like internet access. I stayed in a repat house where the woman increased her data so that the guests could use the internet. I stayed in another house where the individual did not want to give people the password like it was a secret, which was odd. However, people operate how they operate, but you want to tell people you're charging them for these services. It's little things like that you have to be privy to. That does not make people feel welcomed when you do things like that, right? If you're not going to provide internet access, say that, and people will come prepared. They will do what they need to do, get their own internet access. I know I rolled with a hotspot as soon as I could, so when the power went out or there was any other kind of inconvenience, I had what I needed. I actually used my selfie light as my light in my room a lot of times when the power went out because it was already charged. The other thing is, remember that when the power goes out and you can't charge, always keep your laptop charged, right? Because you can use your laptop battery to charge your phone. Some people don't realize that. Charge your phones, charge your selfie light, charge your wireless charger, charge your hotspot. You can do all of that from your laptop if you keep your laptop charged. I always keep my laptop charged, and when there's a power outage, I have some sort of backup battery. And some people may know that, but many people don't, so I don't take it for granted. I like to share those little tidbits. Um, hmm. A home, like, let's talk about the homes, right? Because I remember staying at a repat house where the sister had people come in and clean like on a weekly basis. Um, there wasn't a whole lot of furniture. It was just a necessity, a table to eat at, a couch, but you got to think, like, if you're a hoarder or, you're someone who doesn't maintain your space and you claim you having guests. Like, you can't have a cluttered home. You can't have things that are not put away neatly. All of that is not appealing, right? You should have those things taken care of before your guests arrive, and be careful about that. Like, I'm gonna tell you about an incident I had, and I like almost forgot about this, but I remember waking up out of my sleep one night, like, you know, no, what? It, like, I just jumped out my sleep, and the dream was that something had crashed. I don't know what it was that had crashed, but I woke up in the dark like that, and I didn't see anything. And I said, you know what? The sister did tell me that monkeys jump on the roof, so maybe it was a monkey jump on the roof. That was a crash I heard in my sleep, and I just let it go. About 2 days later, I just happened to be in my room, and I happened to look up at the ceiling, and my ceiling fan was hanging by a wire, like a bungee cord wire. And I thought to myself, that's the crash I heard the other day. The fan probably let down from the ceiling, and I thought it was something on the roof, but I couldn't see it in the dark. Could y'all imagine that fan spinning and I'm there sleeping and that fan coming down on my legs or at the end of my bed and moving and cutting me or something? Make sure your house is up to par when you have a guest. Oh, y'all, this one is beautiful. I hope you get to see it. Oh, you missed it. You missed it. It had a beige breast, gray feathers, and spotted. It was beautiful. Sorry, y'all. I might need to just keep y'all on every window because they be hitting me at these 3 windows. That one was big, too. Big and beautiful. Gray and brown just peeked in. All right, so that, like I said, yeah, I had the story about the fan, right? And this is a guest house, so don't you go around and check all the wiring and electricity and all that kind of stuff before you let people come in your house. Imagine how that could have ended, right? So you want to make sure the house is up to par, um, and that the rules of the house are clear. Like, don't say one thing and then do another and then be irritated with your guests. You can't do that. It's very unprofessional, and it's not nice, okay? And it definitely does not make anyone want to refer anyone to stay with you when you behave like that. And make sure maybe that if there's different people staying there, that folks are on the same page, because just because you think people might get along doesn't mean they will. Sometimes there are people that are very territorial. They want people all to themselves. They're all in their behinds. They're all in their spaces. Everything they do, they just kind of go along with it. Even when they know it's fucked up or wrong, they enable behaviors. Like, there are people that are like that. And that's cool. But guess what? I'm not that person. When you do something wrong, we can have a discussion about it. But when I see you're a person that constantly does the same wrong thing, or you have some low vibration, wicked energy, I'll never see you the same again. Like, I don't even want to look at you because I'm disgusted with you. I'm that person. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to curse you out. I'm not going to be disrespectful. But when I held you in high esteem and I saw you as someone to be respected, and you show me that you're not that person, I am not only hurt and disappointed, but I will never look at you the same way again. So continue to be who you are. Hopefully you will realize how your behavior affects other people and you will change, because I know I'm not the only one to discover that you're not a good person. And no one has told you that you're not a good person. And that's why you proceed and do the things that you do. All I can say is, I send up high vibrations that people recognize their ways. And I try to be as kind as I can, even when people push me in a direction not to be so kind. So, on that note, I think that a host should be honest about what it means to have a guest house, to have a repat house, and really ask themselves, are they able to fulfill the commitment to repatriation, to supporting their guests. And if doing this is going to be an inconvenience, then it's not for you. It's not for you, and that's okay. Find another way to make your money. Yeah, find another way to meet people because it may not be for you, and that's okay. But do not have that negative stain on other people's experience because you're inconsistent. I hope that was helpful to y'all for the people arriving, for the people that are thinking about opening up their homes, for the people that have homes, that have had people come through, had repats, had them come through. Really think about if you were able to do the best that you could for those individuals. And on that note, I'm going to add that I now have a space, right? My space is a big space. I will be welcoming people to the Gambia. If they need a space to stay, they can get in touch with me. I will be connecting you with my contacts. You see the kind of people I move with. And if you need a place to stay, contact me. If my space is available, you are more than welcome. If you find yourself in a bind, someplace that you realize is not for you, contact me. And if I can't accommodate you, I will find someone who can. There are amazing guest houses in the Gambia. There are people with high quality guest houses in the Gambia that are incomparable, right? If you remember the couple, Makeba and Matumbe, I think it is, that did the interview with Watermaya. They are located around Turntable, beautiful guest house, upscale. And there's a lot of other places that you could rent. Y'all know I have a realtor, C from the UK, that helped me find this place. Maybe she could just help you find a rental for the time that you're here where you don't have to have a roommate or a host. I know for some of us, this is a scary journey, and we do want that extra support. The support is here if you really want it. Don't get caught up with people with low vibrations. I hope this was helpful. I know this was long enough for my people who want time. But this information is so crucial because it could really put a damper on your journey if you end up around the wrong people. So you want to make sure that when you're coming here, you are prepared, you have the tools you need to have a high vibration return to the continent. I bless all of y'all. I'm so thankful for my subscribers. I hope this was helpful. I know it was informative, and I will see you all in the next video. Blessings.